What's up, everybody? Rob Gill, Epic Insurance Services. You know, every once in a while, you'll come across somebody in your life that you felt like you've known them for 300, 400, 500 years, past lives. And for me, Dr. Rajs Story is an example of that. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how to achieve peak mental performance. So what's up, everybody? You know, I think that when it comes to peak performance, peak mental performance, it's always important to have a routine. And for me, like I said, I jumped into a Tony Robbins wormhole back in 2007, and it just led me on a different path. I began to surround myself with winners. I began to surround myself with ultimate achievers. And I began to surround myself with people that have been there, done that at a very high level. And in that space, I had the good fortune of meeting Dr. Rajs Story. What's up, Doc?
How you doing, my friend?
How you doing?
Awesome.
So one of the greatest things about Dr. Rajs, as I like to call him, is he is one of my coaches, and he specializes in many, many different things. But for this conversation right now, we're going to talk about sprint set energy performance on how to lose weight while maintaining peak performance energy. And Dr. Rajs is somebody that calls me every day. He wants to make sure what I'm eating is the right thing based on his journal that he puts together. He has a scientific approach and has a powerful team around him. And also, he's a best-selling author in 4 countries. So Dr. Raj, can you tell us a little bit about how you became not only in the Ultimate Achievers Club first, right, but then how that turned into Sprint Set and where you are now?
Yeah, well, I mean, it all started with my own personal story, right? So my own personal story, here I am, I was 20 years old, and I was studying to become a medical doctor. I got into a severe motorcycle accident that nearly took my life. I got hit from behind, thrown off my motorcycle, hit the pavement, my entire body, my flesh literally ripped apart, head split open, herniated 6 discs in my spine,
Wow.
bolts 3, knee split wide open, in the hospital, of course, right? It was just a horrific scene. And going through it all, going to see special surgeons who didn't know where to begin, seeing orthopedists, neurologists, pain management. I mean, regularly, every single day, dropping down on my knees and face planting, mother and father peeling me up off the ground like a banana peel regularly. I became very depressed as I felt like I had no hope. And felt suicidal. I mean, it was like this close. I felt like, oh my God, I don't want to live anymore. And by the grace of God, I got led to a corrective-based chiropractor who showed me that I'm not going to push darkness out by adding more darkness, and that I got to tap into the greatest doctor, and that doctor lives within inside of me. And then I went on this venture with him, and within 3 months I had my first glimpse of hope. 6 months more, a year later, I regained most of my life back. And then I said, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to help people like this. And as I was going through this, and then I was in school, you know, my hormones were all disrupted, you know, as well from, and gained a ton of weight. So for me, that's where I really got into that functional medicine, so to say, space as well, to begin to understand hormones and how the body functions and operates as far as the lifestyle component, and then the life flow component, how much life is running through me. I got all of that information about the greatest doctor from within in chiropractic school. So I merged it together and created what I have here today.
Can I use that as that? First of all, thank you so much. And I love surrounding myself with people that have been there, done that work at a high level. When you talk about the doctor within, are we talking about cortisol? Are we talking about dopamine? Like, what are we talking about? If you could keep it simple for these folks, because I think that's real important. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. So, look, when you were created by God, you were created with one organ in charge. It sits right here in your head. It's called your brain. Well, your brain has to communicate by sending life, intelligence, and wisdom down your spine, through the nerves, to every vital organ of your being, right? So the way that happens is from God's intelligence and wisdom, right? Not from me, not from man. It's not an outside-in thing. It's an inside-out. You were born with that intelligence. So healing is an innate healing approach. Like if you cut your skin, what happens? Your body forms a film, creates a new healthy skin. That's innate intelligence. That's the greatest doctor in the world. That's not Neosporin. That's not any sort of medication. That's not a Band-Aid. It's the greatest doctor from within that was able to heal you.
Dr. Rajs and by the way, if anyone wants to contact, go to www.drroger.com, www.drroger.com. Feel free to reach out. He is dropping nuggets right now. I think A Star is Born. And obviously, if you have the good fortune of being able to connect with him and his team, I would highly suggest it. But with that being said, Doc, You do come from the school of Tony Robbins, correct?
I do.
And you have spent how many years in that space?
More than 20.
And has that given you the ability to accelerate multiple businesses?
Absolutely. I mean, I was at a Tony Robbins Business Mastery going back to 2010.
Whoa. How many people were there?
I don't know. Thousands.
Usually, yeah.
Thousands,
it's
right?
increased since then.
Thousands. And we were sitting there, and Tony called on me. And he said, so Dr. Roger, you're doing really successful. You got a great, wellness center. You're doing incredible. What is that next thing for you? Like, how are you going to make a bigger impact in this world? Like, what's that next iteration of who you are? And for me, that's where the corporate, I was like, all right, I'm already seeing hundreds of people a day in my center, right? So I'm like, all right, well, how do we elevate that? Well, we got to be able to help hundreds of thousands of people. And how can we do that kind of stuff? So that's where I came up with writing my book, and it's called The Gladiator's Guide to Corporate Health and Wealth, right?
Wow.
Right? And then from there, it was, all right, now we got to develop this system. And then it was developing a corporate wellness system. And then it was, all right, how do we touch into corporations? And then I started speaking globally, not just here, but globally throughout the world, and have had the privilege even of going so far to the country of Sri Lanka, even that far, right? And being able to do talks out there at a high level in corporations.
It sounds like to me you began to ask empowering questions.
Of course.
You began to ask questions that have an abundant mindset to it, and it led you down this path that it wasn't an overnight success, right?
No.
Along the way, there's trial. Like for everybody out there, we as entrepreneurs, there's trials and tribulations. And if you stay in the place of progress, not perfection, don't make the same mistake twice. Double down on what works. Good things begin to happen. I do have a question. You've been on a couple different TV shows, correct?
I've been on media hundreds of times.
Can you share some of your favorite spots that you were on?
Sure. So for me, being on different things like CBS or NBC or Fox or ABC, I mean, they've all been fun. They all have their own different flavor to them. And, topics that I'd love to tap into is how can you add years to your life and life to your years? So, those are segments that I love to do and teach about. I love talking about lifestyle tips for people. I love to show people that they don't always have to turn to a medication, that really should be our last resort, not our first resort. I've talked on so many different things, from opioid epidemics to allergies to digestive, gut health stuff, to pain in the body, to how to keep the body running whole and healthy and well not for a moment, but for a lifetime. I mean, these are the type of things that I love talking about. Sprint Set, I love talking about Sprint Set energizing weight loss system. I think it's just been such a game changer, and it's disrupting the weight loss space right now.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because it doesn't make sense to have a lot of money if you're not healthy, right?
Listen, don't chase the dollar. People always said to me, they go, how are you so successful? They go, how do you have it? And I go, I don't chase the dollar. For me, it's about how do you serve at your highest level. It's living, loving, giving, serving. And when you live in that space is where the magic happens, right? Because when you see, this is outside of Sprint Set, but like when you see a child, like in my chiropractic space, for example, and you see a child who couldn't speak and all of a sudden is speaking today, where and the mother is a special needs teacher. And they said that this child is never going to speak again. And all of a sudden, this kid is speaking today. Not only is he speaking, the kid's a math whiz. He's a genius, and his name is Chase. Like when you see something like that happen, it blows your mind away. Or when you see somebody who they said, that person's never going to get up and be able to walk out of a wheelchair, and then all of a sudden within 1 week, they're walking from one side of the room to the other, like Jessica, right? And these are real people. These aren't made up stories, right? When you begin to see this, or you see somebody who's been suffering with opioid addiction, all of a sudden now they're not on opioids anymore, or somebody who was supposed to have surgery and now you stop that surgery and they're able to walk and function and live a life and be able to pick up their kids and do things like that, right? When you begin to see that happen, that blows your mind away. And then tapping into Sprint Set, when you see somebody who just didn't feel comfortable looking at themselves in the mirror, or goes to a pool party and just doesn't feel comfortable being in that bathing suit, right? Always wearing that cover up, or somebody who goes into their closet and they got all this clothes, but they can't put anything on because they just don't feel confident in doing so. And you begin to see these type of things shift. And now all of a sudden, when that starts getting better and they start getting well and they have the proper coaching and support, all of a sudden their relationships get better, right? Because they begin to learn how to fly, right? First, love yourself. That's what FLY stands for, right? So when you begin to learn on how to begin to do that, that's where the magic happens.
FLY stands for First Love Yourself. That's an acronym I never heard. I love that. First Love Yourself. That's awesome. And when it comes to, and Doc, you know, there's entrepreneurs all over here and there's people that want to learn how to get multiple uses of their money. And you're very, very successful, multiple business owner. Can you share, you know, from your perspective that, yes, you don't chase money. And that makes me think that you're a magnet. Money comes to you because of the service and because of how you are a servant leader to people out there. Is that a fair statement?
It is. It is. And it's not that I'm not looking at my money or that I don't set goals, right? Because, you know, of course, that's set in place, but you're not chasing that, right? You know, you're serving. And when you're from a place of service, God will give it to you and it will come. But you have to have the right map in place. It's like, all right, here's the outcome. You've heard it in Tony Robbins. Here's the outcome, okay? What's your why? When your why is strong enough, that's your driving force. You'll do whatever it takes. Then you map it out. And then once you map it out, look, if that map isn't working and you got to tweak it a little bit, what do? You tweak it until you hit that outcome. And then you got a winning formula.
So, wow, Dr. Raj, thank you so much. There's so much information there. And you know, a map is important. I love that. And if your why is strong enough, it's your driving force, tremendous. So when it comes to how to achieve peak performance, right? Is there a certain routine that you do on a daily basis? Is there a certain strategy that you bring that these folks can learn from right now that can have an impact on them today?
Absolutely. Right? So rituals, right? Morning rituals, nighttime rituals, extremely important, right? So morning rituals, same thing I teach my children, right? Plant your feet on the ground, stretch, thank you, God, for another day on earth, right? I get up early, right? You've heard that statement, the early bird wins the worm, right? Yes. So I'm up early and I am getting myself into a peak mental performance state right early in the morning. So I do rituals. So I'll do breathing rituals, I'll do affirmations, I will do prayer, I will do movement, so exercise, and you can pick whatever exercise that works best for you, right? Whether it's a more of a high intensity, whether it's, you know, just jumping on a mini trampoline, whether it's doing yoga, whatever feels right for you, you do, and you may switch it up, you know, on a daily basis, right? These are the type of things that I will begin to do. I also take out, you know, a success journal. And I'll go through that and I have a list of questions, which I'm happy to share, right? But a list of questions that I'll go through every single day and then I will fill that out. So I'm already have my day planned out of what it's going to look like and how I'm going to win. The other thing is that the night before, I am also going to have a list of what is the one thing that I am going to tackle 100%, the big thing that I'm going to tackle tomorrow. Because when you tackle the big thing tomorrow, that one thing, don't give yourself 10 things, one thing that you're going to tackle tomorrow, the other thing is just, it becomes so easy when you tackle the big thing first. I mean, that's what I do. But I also have nighttime rituals. So for me, it's when I'm shut down, and you know this, right? Like it's like family time happens for me. Yep. So I shut down at a certain time. It's all family, right? Then what I do is I want to make sure I have a really restful night's sleep. So a restful night's sleep is extremely important. So what do you have to do for that? Well, start dimming your lights. Dim your lights 2 hours prior to bed, okay? Shut off all electronics as well, right? 2 hours prior, or 1 hour prior to bed, really is you give yourself that 1 hour. Shut off all electronics 1 hour prior to bed. When you go into your room, hopefully your bed's already done, that you made your bed in the morning, right? So that you walk into that room and it's already nice, it's already set for you, right? Have a diffuser that's running, an essential oil diffuser, lavender, I love that, it's nice and calming, okay? You can take a shower, a bath, something like that. Do not do any heavy reading right before bed. Set your temperature, drop it down. An ideal temperature to go to bed with is 67 degrees. Wow. So drop the temperature, you know, right before bed, right? So, or let's say that it's at 72 in your home, drop it down to 69, drop it down 3 degrees, okay? And now you're setting yourself up for victory, okay? Because if you have a good night's sleep, then you will wake up feeling recharged. The other thing is don't eat too late at night. So I like to cut off all eating by 7 p.m. If I do that, I know that my body isn't going to start working on digesting and breaking down all that food. And now it strengthens me. So now when I go to bed, I don't have a lot of food. I don't have a lot of water too late at night. I have a restful night's sleep. I wake up and my mental peak state is elevated. So these are the type of things. And of course, I put my children to bed, pray with them, hug my wife, kiss her, and ask her if there was anything that I could have done better today.
Like I said, we're a hunter of human excellence here. And without a doubt, that is a map, a strategy on how to win the day. And the preparation that Dr. Roger does is incredible. I've never heard that before in my life to that level. And just want to thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome. Every day we're going to be bringing on great content and bringing on great guests like Dr. Roger. And like I said, somebody once told me if you change your style up, watch the money pile up. So please hit the like button and subscribe below.